to me, it's like, it's an amazing time. It's an amazing time because when you disassociate yourself with like your old ideas and old stuff, and I just kind of look at life as a movie, and I'm a character in this movie, and it's like the storyline is getting crazy, man. And it's
yep. Welcome back to the Innersleeve Music Podcast, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris. Joe Pacheco joining me as always on the line. What's happening, my man?
Excited. Spring is in the air, man. That's what it feels like. The weather, anyway, is really inspiring for me.
That's right, man. Feeling good. And it's also coming with a lot of concert announcements, which is great to see as well. If you guys, own a cellular or computer device, chances are you've seen all the announcements. So shout out to all the music fans out there who get to see their favorite artists this summer. I know a lot of people excited for a lot of tours. Good vibes all around in the music community. Today's guest is friend of the show, Derek Orsi, of course, music artist and owner of the Freak Shop Music Studios over in Montreal, Canada. Awesome guy, Derek, and it's always great to have him on the show, Joe.
Yeah, always a good conversation with him. Like sometimes we have to tell ourselves, stop, we gotta go, or like, because we can just converse forever.
The man is awesome, and we always say he's like the second coming of Frank Zappa in the best way. Our man, he's like Frank Zappa reincarnated. He's playing all different instruments. He's mixing music, and he really does a lot for the Quebec artist community. We're going to speak to him about his brand new video, XXX, and the new single, Daydreamer, coming up here on the show. A Peruvian YouTuber is making headlines after staging a tribute concert to Rosalia. Yes, this went down at a stadium in Lima for 3,500 fans, Joe. And this is not this YouTuber's first time doing a tribute concert.
No, I thought this was funny as it came in the feed, and I was like, wow, this is like, because we all felt this, and we're feeling it now because there's only a certain amount of venues in every city, even though I live in a major city, so there's a lot of venues, but some artists will like, John Mayer skipping Montreal, and like a lot of artists, they skip the town, so like this guy went to another level in the sense like, yeah, you're skipping, I'm going to put on the show, recreate the entire show, spend money, spend time, and then sell out for like 3,500 fans. Like, that's pretty impressive, man.
It is very impressive. And the fact that you could go ahead and book, a venue with that capacity and do it for a tribute concert is, I think it just goes to show how impressive it actually is. We do have a little clip here at the show, it looks like.
Yeah, let's check this out. Let's go full screen here. And it's not happening, the full screen. Okay, well. So yeah, as you can see, he auditioned a ton of dancers.
Wow.
And I think even, as it says in the, I'll just mute that for a sec there. It says even like, look, casting more than 100 dancers to get 8 who performed.
Wow.
More than $100,000 that he spent staging the show. And it's just interesting.
That's unbelievable.
Right? Like,
so this person probably spent money to put this show on.
Well, that's it, right? And they did down to the costume changes and everything. I found that so interesting because like I've grown up as well. There's like tribute bands galore around here, and it was in the 90s at one point even more so. I mean, I myself went and see Pink Floyd, right? The Australian Pink Floyd tribute, and I was like, I could not believe that the entire place was sold out, where Pink Floyd would have sold out as well, probably the entire week, of sold out shows. But like, it just shows the hunger, the legacy that these bands have. Like AC/DC, I have friends that have been doing an AC/DC tribute for over 30 years. Like,
Man,
it's
that's
incredible.
Unbelievable.
So it's like another aspect of the industry that's interesting, right? So you could still be a musician, you love this band, and you could still make a living type, or maybe you're a weekend warrior kind of thing. But playing, and these guys that I know, like they play like sometimes 10,000 seaters places, full. So it's like, wow,
that's insane.
It always mesmerizes me, like that you can have almost like I don't know what kind of a career you would call it, but just, a performing career,
Well, yeah. I mean, when you become a legacy artist, and it goes for certain pop artists as well. Of course, Michael Jackson, there's people, especially all over the States who make a good living impersonating him. It begs the question, Joe, do you think that this is going to cross over perhaps into different genres? Because we've seen rock bands, we've seen, people like Michael Jackson, selective pop stars, maybe like Cher. But do you think there's ever room for a rapper tribute act. Let's say a
Wow.
Jay-Z tribute or a Kanye tribute.
I never thought, to be honest, man, I thought never has crossed my mind because, like you said, it just seems to be like rock. Like there's U2 tributes, right? Led Zeppelin galore, all these tributes.
Beatles.
Iron Maiden. Yeah, Beatles especially, right? And yeah, Michael Jackson, Madonna. I've seen also like obviously Elvis. We all know Elvis.
Yep.
But yeah, it's true. I never saw any rappers. And it's interesting because I don't know. Maybe because, well, no, I don't know, man. When you rap, it's like I think it's very real and personal to that rapper. But so are some of the lyrics to these songs, but not as much, I think, as intimate as the rap would be. So maybe that's why. It's like you're singing someone else's words, so it probably doesn't work. I don't know, but who knows?
That's a good point. I mean, it's so intimate to the person's voice and their cadence. And again, yeah, I mean, you could read the lyrics off the page just like them, but it doesn't have the same effect as, learning guitar notes or something. That would sound a lot more accurate to Angus Young than it would if I'm sitting here trying to sound like Jay-Z vocally. So maybe it's easier to emulate instruments and singing rather than somebody's speaking voice. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool to see, like, for example, a guy like Eminem. I mean, I think an Eminem tribute that goes through all the different eras of his career could be wildly successful. That's
what I thought too. The Eminem came right away in my mind, but then it's like you'd have to be able to do the rap god thing. You'd have to be able to pull
you would
that
have
off.
to, right?
But I mean, this is tributes to like some of these like really, dexterous. I don't know, for lack of a word, proficient musicians too. People do it. So I'm assuming. I'm sure there's a ton of, because if anything, when someone does something once and it influences the next generation, well, that next generation will eventually be able to do it and better, right? So pretty sure we're gonna find the next rap god like in the next 10 years or so, because it's like, I don't know what there's a term for it, but it's like when world records, sometimes the world records are there for 20, 30 years, and as soon as one guy breaks it, it's as if it makes everybody believe that it's possible, and then you get year after year sometimes breaking records. So
exactly. And the chain continues. It's going to be really cool to see, even, with some of the female rappers, more in line with maybe the Madonna type of thing. I could see Nicki Minaj maybe in the future tribute act. So let us know in the comments who you want to see as a tribute in the future. Maybe we'll all take a SoundMojo trip to Las Vegas and go to see one of these shows. Speaking of Nicki Minaj, hopping into our versus segments for this week, here we ask Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj.
Our audience picked 68% for Nicki Minaj and 32% for Cardi B.
I honestly thought this would be closer to 50-50. I feel like Cardi B has an equally large fan base at this point to Nicki. That being said, though, Nicki's fans are ruthless and they are hungry. You cannot mess with them when it comes to Nicki Minaj.
I'd have to agree. I also thought Cardi B would be a little more even because she's, to me, seems a little bit more relevant today, around and releasing music today. But I think Nicki has the track record to sustain her, and the proof is right here. We just saw it in this poll.
Longevity is key when it comes to Nicki's career. Still writing all of her own songs as well. That's a major accolade. So listen, I'd say well-deserved, and I personally would also pick Nicki. Here we ask Harry Styles versus Ed Sheeran.
Our audience picked 66% for Ed Sheeran and 34% for Harry Styles.
This actually surprises me because the Harry Styles fans show up in droves for his live events. There seems to be a lot of them.
Ed Sheeran's been around, again, a little bit longer in terms of as a solo artist, but I too was surprised that it was this much of a gap because, Harry Styles, you can't escape him at this point.
For my personal taste, though, Ed Sheeran takes the cake. He's so talented. He's a multi-instrumentalist. All around, just a really well-formed artist. I love Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, same here. Definitely a big fan of both of them, to be honest. Because when Harry Styles came out with his first single, I had no idea who this was, and I was searching for who Sign of the Times, and I was like, wow, what a catchy melody. And then when somebody told me, oh, it's one of the guys from One Direction, I'm like, yeah, right, you're kidding me. You're really kidding me. And now he's proven year after year, single after single, how just awesome the guy is.
Make sure to drop a comment letting us know what you think on the SoundMojo community tab. Now it's time to hop into our interview portion of episode 111. As we mentioned off the top, we have Derek Orsi calling out of Montreal, Quebec, an awesome artist and producer and studio owner who came on to talk about a lot of different topics. One of the coolest things about this chat, Joe, was getting to hear a producer and mixer's perspective on artificial intelligence and how that's moving into the music space. I thought his attitude on it was very refreshing and very open-minded.
Yeah, and that's Derek for you right there. You just said him in a nutshell. He's just a very open-minded person, a very hardworking person, like very inspirational. When I watch him post constantly and consistent, I'm like, man, I got to be more like this guy, you know? No, great artist, great musician. I love the fact that he's almost like not doesn't fear many things, you know. He just goes for it. He tries things. And getting back to the AI, when 2019 I started to hear inklings of AI music and programs, and I kind of sort of like snobbed it, brushed it out, like whatever, you know. Then throughout doing this podcast, we've always dropped little questions here with some artists about AI music. Again, I still sort of like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But with the advent of the whole Chat GPT and now all this Mid Journey and all this AI art, and I was like, wow, I want to bring this up to an artist, somebody who's like, you know, and get their take on it, because like as a musician, we've been used to this kind of thing. You know, I've grown up knowing there's drum machines, so I don't need to have a drummer, or there's now software that can pretty much, you know, replace or tune your vocals or whatever, you know. So it's only a matter of time before we're going to have, and we already have like AI artists, right? In terms of even the voice and everything with Vocaloid. My kids listen to some stuff that's an AI artist. It's not even a real singer. Wow. So I wanted to ask him because I want to get his take on it, and you know, the musicians, there are always musicians around the studio recording. I want to see what they thought about it, or are people panicking? Hey, what is this AI? But it was refreshing to see his take on it, where it's like, it just is what it is. You got to sort of deal with it. It's another tool you can use and all that stuff. So I just found it very open-minded on his part.
Definitely incredibly refreshing. So let's jump into our conversation with Derek Orsi. We'll catch you guys right afterwards. We're back with our special guest, Derek Orsi. Welcome back to the Innersleeve Music Podcast, round 2.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Awesome. 100%. It's always great to have you on the show. So, I mean, you know, lots going on over at the Freak Shop Studios and in the world of Derek Orsi. You've got the new single, Daydreamer, which I'm sure is at the front of mind right now.
Yeah, I just dropped it a few days ago, March 7. And I'm super stoked with the response so far. It's a song that I was really excited to get out there. So like I'm glad it's out. I'm glad people are listening to it, and it's fantastic.
How do you decide? Like I struggle. How do you decide what songs to release, or how? Actually, to be honest, my ultimate question is, how are you releasing songs? Because last year it was one a week. Not for you, I'm saying in general. So what's your strategy in terms of releasing songs?
You know what? Choosing it is, it's not that hard, because ultimately it's a gamble either way. So if you're working with a team that helps you kind of strategize your marketing and all that kind of stuff, then I guess it's by committee or whatever like hierarchical structure they have. You know, for me, I'm working independently by myself. I do make other people listen to it. I see their response. I do my own like field work, research, you know, and kind of gauge how people react to certain songs, people I trust, so that it gives me a better idea of how to like choose the singles. But ultimately, you put them out, and sometimes you think one song's going to do better than the other, but it has the complete opposite result, right? So I also just trust myself. Most of these songs I've been sitting with for a long time. So the ones that I'm not fed up of yet, then I know that they're standing the test of time. The ones that I'm like, this is not hitting the same way it was last year or whatever, I'll know it's not really a single, right? If something still gets me excited, I've heard this a million times, and it still gets me excited, it has to be good, right? So
yeah, that's the thing. There's something to it if it's, you know, still ringing inside your head after that long. So, I mean, you know, how many years would you say, if you had to really put a number on it, have you been actually making music, Derek? Like
writing or just playing?
Just like whenever you started in general.
Yeah.
From listener to creator.
Like I took my first guitar lessons at 10 years old.
Okay.
I studied guitar for 2 years at the conservatory as a little kid, you know, did the exams in McGill University at the end of the year.
Nice.
All classical music. And then I kind of got fed up with that, and I picked up the electric when I was about 13, which was always my dream. When I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to be a guitar player. It just bugged my parents enough to get lessons.
How did you know? I'm curious. Like, who did you see? Like, Malmsteen was like when he saw Hendrix, like, oh, I want to pick up a guitar.
I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we talked, but like that moment, I was, I think, 5-ish. and I saw the movie La Bamba. And I saw Richie Valens. I don't know if I mentioned the last time or not, or maybe
I think so.
But it doesn't matter. That was the movie, man. I was a little kid. I don't know.
True.
I saw him playing a Strat. I saw him rocking out to that song, and I was like, "This is it. This is the way to do it."
I want to do that.
Yeah, big time.
awesome.
And then like there was a lot of other people that followed afterward, but that was the moment. 5 years old. I liked Fred Penner when I was a kid. He used to sing.
Oh yeah.
You guys know
Oh my god.
Penner, you know? I was a big Luciano Pavarotti fan because my parents are Italian. I still love singing. I was singing when I was 2-3 years old already. You know, my story is I used to like get up on like tabletops and sing opera when I was a little kid. Luciano Pavarotti stuff. I was chubby, completely the opposite of what I am now. You know, now I seem more aggressive and I'm skinny. Back then I was a chubby little Italian kid singing like deeper, you know, tenor style opera. But
I love it.
Yeah.
So I mean, how many years after, you know, that when you started at 10, and you know, the reason I asked is how many years do you think it took you to be able to discern, okay, this, I wrote this song, I really was passionate about it, but maybe this isn't, you know, quite as good, you know, for lack of a better term, as a different song, and maybe I should put this one out. Like, how long did it take you to discern really what songs of yours were quality versus not?
I think, you know, I guess a lot of artists are the same. I don't think any of it is quality. I love it all. I think it could all be better.
I have to disagree, sir.
It's okay. It's just like the process. You know, all the new songs that I have now that I haven't released yet are so much better than these ones because I'm learning. It's just a process. So, and I'll hate those in the future. But yeah, no, just to answer to your question, it's like at around the age of 14, I started writing songs and I was playing in high school bands and performing these songs. And I don't think people really cared too much. But then like by the time I was 19, 20, I started my first band. That's when I released music for the first time. And, you know, you go through that process of I've got this, and that. And what do I work on? What do I invest my time and money into? What do we release out to the public? And so it was around that time, 1920 was my first band where those things kind of were materializing in a meaningful way.
Okay. Very cool. And I mean, you know, fast forwarding till now with, you know, singles like Daydreamer, the video that was fairly recent as well, you know, Triple X, definitely fairly similar themes through a lot of your videos, because I've noticed that the aesthetics that you use are, you know, use a lot of cartoon visuals and different things like that. How did that sort of form? Because I've been curious about that aspect of your artistry.
Yeah. I mean, it was more through necessity. The first music video through necessity because of a lack of resources, excuse me. So when you don't have a big budget and you have big visual ideas, then you kind of try and figure out ways to make those things happen and be creative with like, you know, limited budget. And, you know, putting out a lot of videos, you kind of want to put your energy in making one really good one and then a bunch of others that like still like, you know, have value and are entertaining and all of that stuff. But like, how do you do it without a budget? And you know, you look for these royalty-free old cartoons, but I mean, it's cool that they're royalty-free, but it's cool that it's from a different era. It has a different aesthetic. It's pleasing to my eye, at least in that way as well. It works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't use it. But Crash and Burn was the first music video I made, and it was just impossible to like shoot a music video. So I decided to like take cartoons and like I just looked for a bunch of royalty-free cartoons and I just made a story with that. And the visuals are very strong already and exciting and captivating. So it works. I was working with my friend Mikey, and he was very much into like editing in that way. And he kind of inspired me to like take that road. Like we did that video together in effect, like the edit,
Nice.
the Crash and Burn. Yeah. And then it kind of just, we did a bunch of stuff actually. Like the real story with like a lot of those visuals from XXX was that we threw a party at Freak Shop years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. And we did like, it was a synchronicity night. So there's like Dark Side of the Moon with the Wizard of Oz. We actually, we showed the movie. We had it on projector in the studio with like, you know, like our big speakers blasting like the record on vinyl. We had a synchronicity like event. And then we also had like, you know, after that showing, we had a second showing where we made a big video edit and we played Portishead Dummy. So this was our synchronicity to Portishead's record.
Okay.
So part 2 of the night. And visuals of this cartoon were there. And I just, you know, we used it as a synchronicity night. And I didn't have enough content that I found engaging for XXX, truthfully. So I was like, man, this cartoon's there. I've already done the cartoon thing. I could like lean back on like that aesthetic. It's kind of cool. And I wanted to make like a dream real world kind of back and forth where, you know, I'm in the real world where I'm physical in those scenes. And then the cartoons tell the story of either a dream or a parallel universe or something very different. And it's kind of just juxtaposed against me in reality, kind of going through this crazy whirlwind of whatever. So that's kind of how the concept for XXX and the music video for it came about.
I was curious because now the rage with AI art and all that AI stuff, and I love it because, like you, I have these grandiose ideas, but I'm not a 3D graphics. I don't work for Marvel Studios. I don't have that kind of capability to do those type of things. So me too. I scour the internet and you look for royalty-free stuff or something different, you know. But what do you think about like, cause like now everybody's up in arms about AI art. I'm talking about, you know, AI in terms of taking away our jobs, but all these artists are up in arms, freaking out about it. And for me, I understand it. I totally understand it. But I'm coming from the musician's point with like, hey, welcome to 1970 or 80 something when the drum machine first came out, MIDI sequencers came out, and then Napster came out, and all that stuff. So it's like, you know, like what we're like 40 years already ahead of the curve. We got used to being ripped off or whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you know, musicians are, and the best thing about being a musician is, and I always keep this in the back of my head, if I was able to survive this long, I'm 41 years old as a musician working in the music industry, it's kind of like, you know, like the rats that survive the nuclear wars or a Holocaust. You know,
can't kill
cockroaches. Yeah.
I could survive anything. I'm not afraid of anything because I know what it is to like do, you know, like to scrape by, to do well, to make things like stretch. It's like, and then, you know, to have abundance and all that stuff too. But it's like being a musician is tough stuff. So it's like, I'm not worried about the next phase. To be honest, I'm in a point personally in my life and my own like growth as a human being, my own spiritual growth where I'm really trying to, not trying, I am living with acceptance, right? So acceptance of everything, which means you don't have to appreciate, like, or enjoy what it is, but what it is, you accept, right? So
can't change it.
Yeah, with AI stuff, it's like, you know, my old brain I don't like it. I'm not excited about it. I mean, I think there's going to be some cool stuff about it, but in the whole, it's not something that like excites me. I'm not a person that's afraid of change. I love change, you know. It's just not something that excites me. I could be proven wrong. Maybe I'll get very excited by it later. I'm just like, the way like I'm processing it, I'm not excited about where it's going. However, you know, musically, jobs, this, that, like, you know, even as a creator, it's like, the part about it is that it just takes away. Already we've gone through this with auto-tune. We've gone through like
samples, loop libraries.
You know, so everything's been affecting performance and vibe and the human feel and the human emotion. And it's getting worse and worse and worse, in my opinion. It's like there's less and less and less of the human vibe and feel and emotion in productions and music. And just talking about music specifically, but AI is going to transcend into every industry, everything else. Right. So that's already been going. And it's okay because I love electronic music. There's nothing wrong with it. I like a lot of the new music I'm writing is electronic based. I'm already, not that it's the future because it's been there forever, right? But like, that's where I'm going myself in terms of the way music is going to be produced, you know, absorbed. I'm trying to like really understand that world. I understand it as a listener. I understand it professionally as a DJ. I don't understand it as like a writer. You know, I've never written. So that's where it's going, man. Like good or bad, it doesn't matter. Like where I'm at, like I was saying in my journey, in my personal journey, is that I just accept. So it is what it is, man. You got to learn how to use it. You got to learn how to like make the best of it. It's not going to go away. I'm not going to fight it. I don't have to like it, but it's like, it is what it is, man. We're going to have to figure out ways to be creative in our interaction with it. Not something I'm super excited about. I like sitting around a campfire like a caveman making music. There's something special there, man.
We got to keep that alive too.
Yeah. So like the perfection of everything and like the artificial intelligence, dude, it's amazing. It's like, it makes you realize how like flawed we are. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, but there's beauty in that. There's beauty in that chaos. I listened to the whole like Rogan Lex Friedman podcast, and it was like AI specific. They talked about a lot of stuff, but it's like, they went at length on AI, and it's like, I'm not scared of it. I'm not, it's just, it is what it is, and it's exciting. You have to be excited. What that means as a creator, as a musician, it's, I don't know. It could be anything, man. It's like, I love writing songs the old way. I like hearing mistakes. What I love the most is being in a room with people and just working. Like, I mean, computers are great. Digital, technology and digital instruments are great, but I like that the creative spirit comes from the universal source into you, shared amongst human beings, and there's something magical there. It's like if you're going to have like AI sexual intercourse with like a robot, it could be even better than with a human, but it's not just the thing, it's the connection. You know what I mean? The music thing, the connection, that synergy that you get from human beings. So we'll see where it goes, man. It's a wild time. How do you guys, what do you think? Like where are you guys at?
Well, for me, I love it in the sense that I see it as, wow, I can do so much more now than I could before, or faster, quicker. I use it as tools. I understand some people are hesitant and some people are shy away from it or afraid of it. But like you said, for me, the cat's out of the bag. We're not going to get it back in. And I just want to use it as tools to better what I do, simplify my life maybe a bit more, or improve anything that I do. So it'll never be a 100% AI thing and whatever. It's always going to be a hybrid. So same thing, I love sample libraries. I love my plugins. I love my drum machines, So it's like those are all tools to help me get to where I want. So almost what I have in my head. You'll never get exactly what you have in your head. I mean, I've been saying this for 30 years where I've been saying, I wish I had a USB port in the back of my head, and it was, there's my ideas, my videos all in a shot, that's.
But you might get your wish pretty soon here, Joe. It sounds like right? We're closer than we might think.
Well, I was here one morning, I remember just before Christmas, before Christmas. And I remember I heard this ChatGPT thing and I said, let me try. I created an account and I go, and my 10-year-old was next to me, and he's like, oh yeah, I heard about that too. So we created an account and I'm like, okay, what's the first question you want to ask it? So we asked it, I forgot what it was now, but I just remember we both went, oh my God, this changes everything. We had that moment. And I said, and I looked at him and I'm thinking of all the, because I see AI helping solve crimes, past crimes, whereas we can't have enough manpower to solve all these crimes, but a computer in the background could be checking millions of points of data that will never connect.
I'll articulate something. Excuse me, man. Sure. I think my whole thing before, it's not a comment or reaction to ChatGPT or AI. Because things are just things, and everything has the possibility for good and bad. It's the way it's used, right? Yeah. So it's not the artificial intelligence that I'm concerned about. It's the way that it's used. That historically, we know there's going to be good ways to use it and bad ways to use it. And then it's just the balance of what do we do as a species? How much good versus bad do we use? Do we use it more for bad? Do we use it more for good? Where's that balance? Internet is the same thing, man. It's you could go on and on about musicians and from the onset of Napster to where we are today with Spotify and all that stuff. Napster and Spotify are not a problem. They have the potential for good and bad. Everything has the potential for good and bad. It's the way we interact and use them and create systems around them. So it's just, it's the human programming into these AIs. What are we going to ask them to do? What avenues are we going to go down? But yes, there's potential for incredible things. They could completely change our lives for the positive or the negative, or a balance of both, which is life, man. It's always the way it works. Right? So.
I think that's what I was trying to get at with my son. I remember I just looked at him and I said, wow, man, I don't know how many years I have left on this planet, but I said, you're very young, you're 10 years old. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a bit afraid of what you have to face, what's coming in terms of jobs or creation or whatever, but to add to what you're saying, we're always going to have the good and the bad, the thing is just a thing. And it's just the guy who created the dynamite, right? It was to blow up caves to do more search, but then it was kill people with it too, a hammer. This is the best expression once somebody told me, a hammer. It could be used to build a house or it could be used to smash somebody in the head, right? So it's just
everything in this planet has the potential to create or destroy, but that's the dance of life, man. That's the fun part.
So, I mean, I think
another tool, right?
the main thing that makes me wonder is because, you know, we spoke earlier about things being created out of necessity, you know, with your music videos and such. And maybe I'll ask you guys this question. Do you think humans out of necessity will have to advance more and have to become, you know, more creative and really step it up to make better music and have better infrastructure that AI can't touch? I mean, do you guys think it could make, you know, trying to bring it back to music even a little bit, like our music and production better as actual humans?
Well, the thing is, it came from a human. So it's like a human that programmed this AI. So it should have that inherently in there. Now it's just the speed and the capabilities of it. Anyway, I'll let Derek chime in.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, I think that history has proven that eras come and go.
Mm-hmm.
Things start and finish. You know what I mean? We're not bringing back the Renaissance. We're not bringing back the 60s. We're not bringing back anything. You're only moving forward into wherever it's going, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So I don't like, if you put yourself in the brain of trying to, you know, like work with things that you like that are happening now or in the past, it'll never be that, right? It'll just be something new. It could only be something new. It'll never like go back to something else, right? It might force people to, you know, maybe the technology will get to a point where it's like really you disconnect with it and you want to have that connection. But I just feel that like, if you know, people will go in the same direction, you know, in the direction of least resistance. We're just energy, right? So we're just going to move into wherever we're going, right? I don't look at it as good or bad. It's just what it is. So how the music will be created, I don't know. I think it'll be mostly AI because you won't be able to compete. It'll just get to the point where it's going to be so good that, like, you know, as an artist, now maybe there's going to be minorities always, but we're always talking about the majority, pop culture, right? So as an artist, it's just going to make more sense for me to have artificial intelligence write me an amazing song, and like, you know, if I have the looks and I have like the discipline or whatever, then like maybe I'll have a career, right? But it's like, why waste the time? And, you know, not only write the song, perform it, record it. There's already apps that do, right? So it's like, I don't need to hire the musicians anymore. I need to hire the studio. I need to learn how to record nothing. It's like, you know, all these jobs are going to become obsolete, but in every industry, right? Because why would someone come to a studio? Not that I'm being pessimistic, and I hope I'm not, and it could be anything, but why would you come here if it's like could be done easily at home? Same result, or, you know, like a computer will always kill a human being in performance. It's like we cannot keep up, right? We
have no software updates for a human.
Yeah, well, it's called practice, but it's like it's not, you know. But it's not about the art or the stuff. It's just what will people want to consume. That's all it is. We're just, you know, like music is still a product. Right. So it's like if that product is obsolete, it's obsolete. It doesn't matter if it's good for you or bad for you. Right. It's just this is not what culture needs right now or society needs or wants. This is not the way we want to hear music. Right. So if we don't want to hear music this way anymore, we grew up with the Beatles and all this stuff. That stuff people in the future will hear it, but it might sound more and more wrong. Right. It might sound just more and more like I listen to Mozart. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not amazing. But it's a relic of the past. That's not how we hear music anymore. It's old. It doesn't make any sense. They're off key. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, sorry. Like I was just trying to say, because even you said before as being, maybe I can write a song for me and I'll perform it. You don't even need to. Because that's what scares me too, is all the deep fakes, all the stuff we're going to get, right? With AI voice, AI. So now you could just pretty much write, you don't even have to generate me a script, put it with this guy, put a female, you know, it'll just happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's what's freaky, you know, that's what's scary. And speaking of studios, you know, like you're in your studio right now, the Freak Shop. And like, how does that, you know, does that scare you? Are you already preparing? Like I
mean, I saw this coming like years ago, man, you know, like years, like 3-4 years ago, easily. I was like, I know where we're going. I know where we're going to go. And like, we're here now. I could imagine where we're going. And it's like, so none of this is a surprise. I've been preparing for it. I've been thinking about it. I bought a house up north. I built a nice little mixed room, edit room, songwriting room, Rainbow Road Studios, you know, and I have Freak Shop in the city. So I do all that stuff there. I do all the recording here. I will record until people do not want to record anymore. So if that's in a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you know, that's not my decision to make. I love producing records if there's no need to produce them anymore, because in the market, that's just not how it's done. I always give this like the example of the landline telephone salesman or whatever, like long distance, like
newspapers.
Call and get long distance like
Yeah.
offers on the phone. It's like you don't do that anymore. It's like you know what I mean? It's obsolete. Like there's certain technology that's obsolete. Landline telephones are pretty much obsolete, right? So it's like you're not going to sell obsolete ideas and obsolete technology and obsolete stuff. So if it becomes obsolete, then it becomes obsolete. But until then, I'm going to be here. But it's the same, there's no fear because it's the same thing. It's like, I'm not guaranteed to be alive next year. So am I afraid of that? No. Am I afraid of not having a business in a year or 10? No, like we'll adapt, we'll adjust to, okay. And we already are, man. It's like, we're already adapting and adjusting to like certain trends and certain ways of like interacting and working with artists, but there's still tons and tons of like people that are like playing music.
Oh yeah.
The old way, the old school way. The only issue is you have to look at the like where the dollars are, man. It's like just because people like it and do it, if there's no demand, then that's where you worry. It's not, the supply part is never the problem. It's always the demand part. So if the market doesn't demand a certain product, if people stop demanding live shows, there won't be any live shows. If people like still like line up by the hundreds of thousands to go like see live shows, there will be live shows. So it's all in the hands of the people. It's always in the hands of the people. I'm going to play guitar solos. If people don't want to listen to guitar solos or guitar players, then you'll find out. No one's going to show up to those shows and you just can't do them no more, But if they do, they do. So it's like, it's really, it'll be an interesting thing to see how this all like kind of works together post-COVID, like headspace where like a lot of people are at with AI technology. Like to me, it's like, it's an amazing time. It's an amazing time because when you disassociate yourself with like your old ideas and old stuff, and I just kind of look at life as a movie and I'm a character in this movie. And it's like the storyline is getting crazy, man. And it's it's
Can't argue with
exciting.
that.
I'm excited to be in the story. Like, wow, it's like
I always tell my wife, I just literally like as I watch social media when I'm on it, I'm not on it all the time. I watch and I just feel like, wow, I feel like I'm sitting here eating popcorn and just watching a movie. Like,
beautiful.
What's going on? I want to ask you also, like, still on the topic of AI, but like, there's always counterculture, right? So even though like it's going to be the mainstream AI, blah, 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 all that stuff, we still have vinyl hitting records, right? Of sales. Now CDs hit a record of sales like last year as well. So it's like, there's always going to be the reverse, right? When people zig, other people zag. So we're always going to have both. But I'm curious to know, like now, since ChatGPT has been around for 2-3 months now and all this stuff, AI music's been around way longer. Are there conversations now happening in sessions? Or people like, oh my God, I'm going to be, out of a job soon? Or like, is there conversations in the studio?
I mean, no, because usually when I get booked to like either produce or record, we're just focused on the project. I'm sure those conversations happen outside of the studio. I haven't had them personally. To me, I'm just like, I'm super excited. Like there's things that I would love, to go back in the past and like re-experience and stuff, but like you just make your peace with that. And like, now we're here, man. It's like, this is the way music is. And it's like, it's wacky, but it's like, it'll just, I don't know, it'll be what it ends up becoming. And my place and my client's place will be where it is. I have no clue, man. But like you said, there's also like the counter, right? There's always going to be a counterculture. So it's just to my point, like before, the people will decide how big will the counterculture be, how big will the pop culture be, how will they like interact, are they going to get crushed, are they going to balance each other out? I don't know, man. That's the fun part of seeing. Like I can make predictions, but I don't even care to. It's just like, let's just see how it goes, man. Let's see how the people vote. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be cool to see. One thing I was curious to get your feedback on as well. I saw that you put some photos up of the Pink Floyd exhibit in Montreal.
Yes.
I was very curious about that because I think it's safe to say we're all fairly big Floyd fans on this call. So what's the reaction there?
I loved it, man. I mean, I've been a Floyd fan forever, so it was a lot of fun to be there. Like, to be honest, it was like, it was too much. I was like, man, I was like, all right, I need to like take a breather,
You're like in one of the album covers.
Just being, because they have all, like they have the actual like stage props. They have the actual pig that they flew, like the actual stuff. Wow. And you see like the grandioseness of it in terms of size, in terms of like just thinking of these guys put these concepts and ideas out into the world at a certain time. like all of it. And then, the stories and the videos and they have like the actual like gear and the actual guitars like that they would have played at certain eras. You know what I mean? You see these old amps from like the 60s. These I'm a studio guy, these like old tape echoes. It's just, incredible to be there and be immersed by all of this. And then, there's the videos and the lights, and it was just wild. I was like, I enjoyed the entire thing. Like, recommend it to anyone who's a big Pink Floyd fan. Go check it out. It was a fun afternoon.
That's super cool. And in closing, we do have a list that we pulled for you. Of course, here at Watch Mojo, we are well known for our top 10s. And this episode here is going to be no exception. So we have the top 10 best opening song lyrics. So what we'll have you do here is maybe guess which song could have been in our top 3. You don't have to guess the actual lyrics, but just which song could have had the best opening. And I think we'll all be able to throw out our favorites, like personal favorites, Joe, as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any ideas, like, of all the songs you've heard in your life, popular culture, all that stuff, who would have the best opening line as according to our Watch Mojo list?
Man, on the spot, it's so hard.
Yeah. It's got to be Biggie, right? It was all a dream. That's my vote.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I was thinking, I'm horrible with lyrics, guys. So I would figure that Bob Marley or Bob Dylan have to have some amazing opening lines. Like, I'm just blanking right now because it's just happening. Yeah. Like something else in the top 10. I'm sure like tonight I'm going to have a million ideas, but right now,
yeah.
I don't know. The first lyric that came to me as my favorite, and it might not be my favorite, but just popped in my head right now, is "The world is a vampire," Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay. Oh, that's
nice.
Cool. Yeah. Well, here in this case, we'll give out the top 3, right? So at number 3, we had the Bee Gees with "Staying Alive." I don't know what he says because it's so high pitched. I don't know the lyric myself.
Yeah.
But,
I just know the pitch.
Yeah, it's just about like, I think how confident this guy was and everything. Number 2, we had "Yesterday" by the Beatles. So that's a good one as well. And number 1, I'm not surprised myself as well. When I just saw the title, I'm like, what song? I have my own, but I couldn't think of a song. But Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mama, like, it makes sense.
That makes sense. Definitely. That's a good pick. Definitely hard to pick, though. I feel like we picked a list that was a little more challenging for you, Derek. So thanks for being a good sport on that one. We appreciate it. So is there anything else you want to let people know about potentially where they can find the Freak Shop or any of the music that's coming out from Derek Orsi?
Yeah, so we didn't talk about it too much, but I'm a music producer and studio owner here at Freak Shop. And then I'm also a singer, songwriter, and we were talking about my singles and stuff before under my name, Derek Orsi. So you could check out derekorsi.com. That'll kind of link you out everywhere, but you could also find me as Derek Orsi on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the usual places, YouTube, obviously. I just released my new single, Daydreamer. There's going to be a new music video for that coming up soon. A live video performed at Freak Shop that was performed and recorded in December. I released already one for XXX, and now there's going to be one for Daydreamer. But you can find me in all the usual spots, right? So it's not too hard to spell. Shouldn't be too hard to find.
Yeah. Well, if I could just add, like, obviously in the description, we'll have all the links and stuff. And I'm sure a lot of the SoundMojo audience has already seen the Freak Shop because we have a ton of videos.
Mojo, right?
Yeah. We have a ton of videos of Derek, what is it? The Itzo Blues Coalition. A lot of their live jam performances were done at the Freak Shop. There was Piper, the song Piper by People Arena. Yeah. So it's like, I think the audience has been exposed to the Freak Shop. And like, I go a way back with Derek, and we've tried over the years so many times to connect and do projects. And then the pandemic hit us, and then this hit us, and then that hit us. So eventually I'd love to still do something at the Freak Shop for SoundMojo and, like something interesting. But yeah,
for most people, because it's kind of hard. It's FREQ, like frequency. So that's kind of where that comes from. We got a lot of Frex, but
Freak Shop.
Not a real word. But Freak Shop is spelled FREQSHOP, and then you can find us at thefreakshop.com. Just because you asked before, right? So same places: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook as Freak Shop. So
yeah,
that's and thanks for guys. Thanks for having me on today.
Derek Orsi, thank you so much.
Love what you guys are doing. It's amazing. Keep doing it. All the best to you guys. Thanks again. And I guess peace out, guys.
Huge shout out to Derek Orsi for joining us on episode number 111 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. Wrapping up that interview with a top 10 list from WatchMojo, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen Joe coming out as number one on this list of the best opening lines in a song. Is that warranted, do you think? Because it's hard for me to picture a more poignant opening line.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have my own favorite, like as I mentioned, but it's just... yeah, that's definitely in this list. Yeah, I would definitely, like mama just killed the man, like, wow. Yeah, that definitely wake you up like, oh, what happened?
I still say Juicy by Biggie is criminally low on the list at number 9. I think It Was All a Dream has to be at least top 3. Come on.
Well, mine's not even on the list, and I doubt it would even make the top 20, but it's my number 1, which would be A Perfect Circle's Judith, which is something along, you're an inspiration for all the ways I'd never ever want to be. I love that kind of line. I love that sort of double negative kind of like you think you're getting a compliment, but it's literally a slap in the face.
Reversed compliment for sure. Yeah, I mean, the only other ones that could come to mind, perhaps, I Feel Uptight on a Saturday Night, Detroit Rock City. That's iconic for sure.
Yeah, but Derek, like he, just to wrap up what he was saying on like the AI stuff, it's. Even like, I've spoken to some people about this and I see artists getting all upset about AI and stuff. And it's like, look, man, cat's out of the bag. It's not going to go back in. It's only going to get worse or better. Like he said, a hammer is a hammer. I could build a house or I could smash you in the head, right? So it's like, it's not the tool the problem. It's whoever's using the tool. So, and that's, what I always try to stress is like, these are tools to help you even better. Like the more I've been using it, the more I realize, well, okay, it's like another, tool in my belt right now, or I'm not mastering it yet, but it's like, it's helping me get things done more accomplished quicker and stuff. So anyway, I don't have, the answer to all this stuff, but it's just like, we got to sort of navigate the whole thing and use it to the best of our advantages, and like, hopefully it doesn't like, like every freaking movie we've ever watched is warning us against
exactly.
this stuff.
Well, I do know one thing for sure. Anybody who claims they have the answers definitely doesn't at this point. And we're probably all in the same boat there, but it will be interesting to see. And look, I mean, with all these robotic auto-tune artists, I don't think we're that far off from AI music at this point anyway. So make sure to leave a comment and let us know what you guys think. We appreciate you guys for checking into the Innersleeve Music Podcast. Make sure to come connect with us on the SoundMojo YouTube channel and the community tab. We have new posts almost every single day, getting connected with you guys to see what you're listening to and what you're watching in the world of music. Make sure to come say hello. We respond to comments and you may be featured on the next episode of the show. Also follow us on all social media platforms. That's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're available to reach out to you guys and always posting updates about the channel and the podcast, so make sure to stay tuned. Also hit that SoundMojo merchandise. The link is down below in the description. T-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, even pillows and phone cases. We have everything in the store. So do not miss it. Thanks so much for tuning into this brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.